Hello and welcome. You're watching News9. I'm Shweta Kothari. We're bringing you stories from the world of business, policy and economy. You're watching Business Plus this afternoon. Let's quickly get you a lowdown of how stock market performed, how it ended. With me, Suyash Maheshwari. Suyash, stock market ending on a flattish note, in fact, 0.5% down.
So yeah, Shweta. So Indian market witnessed profit booking throughout the session amid weak global cues as investors decided to book some profits ahead of the Jackson Hole Symposium, which will be on August 25th later today in the US. Now, this was a fifth consecutive week of losses for the Nifty index. But as we can see, Nifty 50 closed around 0.62% lower at 19,265 levels. Now, traders will take some respite in the fact that the market Nifty was able to close above the 19,250 levels, which has recently emerged as a big support for the index. Sensex was also down about 0.5% at 64,886 levels. Now, the broader markets underperformed the benchmark because of increased volatility. Nifty Mid Cap 100 was down about 0.82% lower at 38,471 levels, whereas the small cap index, which was trading with moderate gains in the morning, also slipped into the red and it was down about 0.41% at 11,869 levels.
All right. Also joining us on the show is Vijay Chopra, MD and CEO of Enoch Ventures. Vijay, if you can hear me, is Vijay with us? Right, I can see Vijay on our screens. Vijay, good afternoon. Thanks for taking time out. I see you are on the go. So let me first begin by asking you, what are you making of the sell-off in the markets today?
Well, I think that markets just wanted to shrug off the tensions related to the Jackson Hole meeting because things are quite sketchy globally, especially in the US where, even the likes of JP Morgan have been downgraded. So people are just keeping their fingers crossed. They have booked their profits, and we have seen a decent run up in the mid cap space and especially banking. So we saw a decent sell off in banking, especially this week, and also in the Nifty. So I think that if at all we do not hear anything negative from the Jackson Hole meeting, probably we would be settling around 19,100, 19,000. So there has been quite a good sell off of almost 900 points. So I think that we have seen quite a good correction also in the large caps. So probably after this meeting the market should start their flight upwards.
Okay. And sorry, before I let Suyash come in, what sort of big commentary are you waiting for? And if the Jackson Hole Symposium, of course, will be watched globally by all markets, all investors everywhere. But what sort of big triggers that you are hoping will move the markets come Monday?
Well, I think that if at all there is nothing negative coming out of it, because the interest rates were halted this time. So if at all there is an indication that the interest rates won't go up, the economy is stabilizing. So we saw some good home sales numbers in this week, which came from US, which was slightly better than expected. So if at all the economy is coming back on track, so the chances are that interest rates won't go up. Now we have to understand one thing: these economies were used to about 25 to 50 basis points of interest rates, and suddenly the mortgage has gone up to almost 7%. So this is something very dangerous, especially for the people in the United States where they have huge loans, where the household credit is pretty high. So my sense is that if at all there is a indication that economy is stabilizing and is probably there is an indication that the interest rates won't go up further, or there might be just one odd revision left. So markets should give a thumbs up. Secondly, what we have to understand is why are banks being on the tenterhooks? So the reason is that these high interest rates, people might default. That is the reason why these banks have been downgraded. There probably we are getting a sense that people are not able to pay those EMIs which they are supposed to pay. The 10-year mortgage, people have extended to 30 years and even 50 years in United States. So 50-year mortgage is pretty dangerous, especially if somebody is at an age of 50 or 45. So a 50-year mortgage is pretty dangerous in these times. So that's the reason why they have been downgraded. So we have to understand how the financial system stability is in the United States.
Hi Vijay, Suyash here. So are there any triggers for the markets, or is it all coming from the from the domestic markets, or most of the cues or the negative sentiment that we are seeing over the weeks is because of a sell off in global equities?
Well, I think most of it is global. We have lesser issues in India. Lately, the monsoon progression, especially in the month of August, has been a bit problematic. But I think that there is still time, up till mid of September, where monsoon can still catch up. And the states, especially Rajasthan, MP, parts of Maharashtra, which they have not received any major rainfall, the monsoon might recoup. So there are good chances. According to IMD reports, also the monsoon should be normal. So I think we have a festive season which is around the corner, and major consumption happens during these 3 months. So most of the companies show better results during these couple of quarters because the consumption is really good. And I think I'm fairly bullish on the Indian economy, so to say. Good companies, especially quality mid caps and large caps, they should do well. Banking is in good shape. The credit is also reasonably good, and the asset quality of banks is good. So I don't see major problems, so to say, in the Indian market. The jitters might come from elsewhere.
Okay. So coming to sectors, and I think Vijay says there's no major problem there. How did sectors broadly perform this afternoon?
So Shweta, most sectors ended today's session deep in the red. Now Nifty Metal, Nifty Pharma, Nifty PSU Banks and Nifty FMCG Pack all logged losses of over 1%. Nifty PSU Banks, as you can see, was on about 1.51%. And Nifty Bank also ended about 0.59% lower. The Auto Pack, which was trading with moderate gains in today's session, was also witnessed some profit booking, and it was on about 0.62%.
So profit booking there across all sectors. Vijay, what are you making of these numbers? I mean, down by as much as Nifty Realty down by as much as 1.31%, Nifty Metal down by 1.26%. Profit booking today, do you think numbers will stack up better on Monday?
Well, I suppose so that next week should be better because if at all we have decent clarity from the Jackson Hole meeting, these jitters would be gone. And I'm sure that, as I said earlier, the Indian consumption story is very much intact. We have seen a result season which is, I would say, which is reasonably okay. I'm not very happy, but really, I won't say that I'm disappointed because the numbers have been almost, the way I had expected. So next quarter, couple of quarters look very good for companies. The consumption would be really, really good, and it should shape up. So I think that if at all there are no major international jitters, good chances that we are going to come back strongly.
Vijay, how are you looking at the Nifty IT pack? Now, we were seeing some sort of a buying interest at lower levels. Now, of course, the sector has been one of the top losers in 2023. But now, as you mentioned earlier, there have been a slew of downgrades from banks. So, will it affect the order book of the IT pack? Because the truth remains that BFSI sector is one of the major contributors.
Well, we have to understand one thing, why these IT companies did not perform in 23 and 22, of course. There was a war going on. There was, unusual inflation, which we have seen, in Europe and in US, which are major markets for IT companies. So whenever there is inflation, there's a question on the kind
All right.
companies would have. There were major layoffs happening.
Yes, Vijay. Sorry, I think we're losing you in between.
Excuse me. Yeah, so the reason was that there was no visibility of companies coming back normally as they were in the past years. So probably due to the lack of visibility in the Western world, the IT companies were not getting new business. The problem was new business. The old business was going as usual. The banking was going on as usual. But new softwares and new processes were not being implemented just because of the visibility. Now, as the war jitters are easing off, the inflation problem is easing off mostly across the world. So I hope that in the next couple of next quarters, IT should start doing well. And I've been recommending this for almost a month or so that it's a good time to nibble into stocks like TCS, stocks like HCL, all the top IT companies and good mid-cap companies. So I would say that, this is a good time to accumulate IT.
Okay, good time to accumulate IT. With that, let's also quickly understand which were the top gainers and losers on the D Street today.
Certainly, Shweta. So, among the gainers on the list, was Geo Financial Services, which after finally after being stuck in the lower circuit for about 5 sessions, it was in the lower circuit earlier in the morning. We saw some buying interest in Geo Financial Services stock. The stock was up about 4.92% on an intraday basis, but it closed about 3.82% higher. Now, Bajaj Twins were another theme couple of stocks that we were looking at earlier in the morning. Bajaj, now Nomura has raised target price on both Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance, implying an upside of about 20% from current levels. Asian Paints, which has been one of the outperforming stocks in the past couple of weeks, continue to do well despite the muted market sentiment in the space and the sector. It was up about 0.94%. ONGC was another one which was up about 0.66%. Now, if we look at the losers, L&T was one of the was the biggest laggard in today's session. It was down about 2.09%, followed by Dr. Reddy's, which also was down about 2%. Adani Ports, which fell about 2%, and Adani Enterprises, which also was down about 1.95%.
All right, before we go to top performers, I want to quickly understand, from our expert at this point in time, what exactly is leading to, a sort of sell-off here in Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises. Perhaps, Vijay, if you could help us understand Adani profit booking, what is triggering that profit booking?
Well, again, if a stock has moved up 40% or 50%, so why not book profits? So this is a regular phenomenon in the market. So I really don't know, because when this the bad news about the Adani Group came due to this Heidelberg report. Due to that, we saw a major sell-off, and the kind of crack we saw in the entire Adani pack was unimagined, in the month of January. But again, stocks have started coming up. Adani Ports has posted very good numbers. Enterprises has posted good numbers. So across Adani pack, I think that the companies are doing very well. The numbers are good. But again, I think that it's a normal profit booking which happened across companies, across sectors. So Adani couldn't be an exception. So there are good companies in the Adani pack as well. If you ask me, I think that stocks like ACC, Ambuja are great companies to have in a portfolio, which we also have been recommending since almost few months now. And my favorite is Adani Ports, which is one of the best businesses Adani has.
Okay, but they're not back at pre-Hindenburg level just as yet. Do you see them recovering to those levels anytime soon? Or is this the new normal for Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, in fact for all Adani Group companies?
Well, I think that if at all there is nothing negative coming up, the company's performance would show everything. The performance is on track. So good chances that we are going to see those levels coming back again.
Okay.
Vijay, Geo Financials is finally out of the lower circuit, and it hit an intraday low of about 202. So safe to say 202 will be a good near-term support for the stock.
Well, I suppose so. After so many circuits, no doubt that it is going to come with a splash, which typically Mukesh Bhai has a style of working like that. When Geo was launched, nobody believed that Geo is going to capture the market. And I'm sure that Geo Financial Services is going to launch certain products very soon in the market, and they're going to disrupt the market big time. So, and that's the reason why we saw, companies like Bajaj Finance and all the NBFCs cracking. So I'm sure that they have done a lot of work on the drawing board. The stock should settle around these levels. Probably around 200 should be the bottom. And the kind of volumes we saw today in the stock was stupendous. So I think that, the damage which was supposed to happen has been done. I don't think that it should slip further.
Now, Geo Financials' business model, as far as we know, is not that clear. Anything you are picking up?
Well, I think that, I would wait for today's decision, and probably next week onwards, we should see good momentum happening. I see a lot of promise in chemicals, agrochemicals, because we have seen a lot of damage already. I see select the real estate stocks doing well, cement stocks doing well post monsoon. So there are few sectors, especially chemicals, specialty chemicals, which have seen a lot of crack in the prices, doing good from here. Cement is also one sector which I like. The other one is liquor. So I think that liquor companies should also do well in the coming months.
All right, cement and liquor, of course, being Vijay's bets there.